Hello, hi, RT Bear here. We're going to do a live portfolio review for you guys. I have been working in the comics industry for over 30 years now for companies like Marvel and DC. I'm currently working on Super Sons for DC. The first issue just came out, and from what I hear, it's a smash sensation. So if you haven't picked up an issue of Adventures of Super Sons, get out there. Pete Tomasi's writing, Carlo Barbieri is doing the penciling, and I am doing the inking. So I want to introduce Taylor here as well. So if there's any chats or any questions or anything you guys have, just feel free and she'll read them off. So hey Taylor.
Hey, I'll be reading your chat today.
Yes. So let's get some chats. Let's get some chatter, as it were. So let's go to the first. Looks like John, John Phoenix, and I know we said pinups, but this looks like it's kind of a pinup page, I guess. So as per, kind of check it out, and then we can see what's going on and then comment. So I'm really not sure. These characters don't look familiar, so it's probably some kind of create your own. I gotta get in my mode. I need my red. Okay, so it looks like a 2-panel page. The character looks kind of like an Ant-Man or Wasp type character.
Looks like a couple of people are coming in from Mike Miller's group.
Hey, Mike Miller's group. Mike's at over 50K now. That is truly remarkable. You guys, all the support you guys are giving Mike, and like Red Rooster and even Ethan's book is quite phenomenal. I hope there'll still be some love for Taylor and I's book when we decide to do black and white. Or you're kind of thinking October, right?
Yeah, October for the Indiegogo.
Yeah, for black and white. If you guys don't know, too, Taylor assists me on the inks, and she's also my writing partner. So we're both working on black and white, the reimagined stuff. We actually worked this morning on some stuff too. So I like all this cross hatching. And at first glance, it doesn't look like it could be inked, and I was thinking it couldn't be inked. But I'm looking at it now, and I'm thinking, I would love to ink this. This would be, in the best of ways, one crazy mess. I like taking hatching like that's on this his headpiece here, and just trying to prioritize how I would do it, because it looks like there's 3 different directions. There's actually 4, but there's this direction, there's this direction, there's this one, and then there's this. So it looks like there's 4 directions going on. And so I don't have my inking tools, but I could show you kind of how to prioritize them. So just off the bat, I would say you'd probably want your thickest in here, your medium in here, and then your thinnest on the top, so you can create kind of a dark to light going this way. So light up here, dark going down here. Like I said, I'm not real familiar with these characters, but the drawing looks pretty cool. It's pretty darn creepy. I'm not really sure what's going on over in this area here. So I think maybe some clarification would be good. And I think there's some good anatomy, but like some places it falls apart. And I know they're kind of grotesque looking characters, but I think they still need to follow a pattern. So I think a shoulder and like a bicep, and then the forearm looks really foreshortened. Find your elbow and then bring it in, and then possibly bring your arm in here. It just looks really stubby. I know it's supposed to be a down shot, but I think it's a little too much. And this shoulder is kind of similar. Bring the bicep down. And I'm gonna have to take some of this away so I can do the next part. And then this arm right here it looks disjointed from the figure here. It's kind of coming in at an angle like this, but then there's kind of the shoulder here. So it looks really clumsy, and it looks disconnected. It almost looks like an arm from something else is coming in and grabbing the guy. So it looks like the hand's a little bit stubby.
It's like you just had an influx of like several new people greeting you.
Oh, hi guys. Yeah, welcome. Yeah, so it looks, I don't really know how to fix this other than maybe it just, like if you draw through, like this is where the guy would be, here's his shoulder. Like if this is his shoulder, you know, maybe the arm would come out, like the shoulder part and the bicep, and then the other part of the arm, like the forearm part would come this direction. I know this is going to look like a mess, but bear with me. Like that, so it would be coming in, oops, it would be coming in from like out and then coming back in. So the shoulder and then the elbow would be over here, and then it would come in. And then let me find let me white this out first. Here. And then maybe have the wrist and hand come back in this direction. This thumb over here. And then I'll clean this up and hopefully it'll make more sense to you guys. So I don't know how it is in the rest of the country, but man, it's hot here, and we've been having a lot of fires, so the air quality and everything's pretty horrible. So I don't know if you can see, like I'm drawing through this guy here, but then if you took this away and all the foreground element, you can kind of see that like his arm would be coming back this way and then cutting over and then back. The fingers going in this direction. It's still really awkward, but that's the only way I can think of without making major changes. Because the arm, the way it was, it looks like it's just coming right out of his shoulder, like it's coming straight at you. And there's no way you could have an arm coming straight at you and then have this guy as close to this other guy, because there's just not enough distance between them. But if the arm is bent like the elbows, let me get my red again. If the elbow's bent and like the elbow's over here, and then it's coming up like the shoulder's here, elbow's here, the wrist is here, then you can kind of compensate for the space between them. But if it's coming straight forward the way it was drawn, I think it's the guy in the foreground isn't far enough away from this guy here. So I think that would be my best suggestion for that. Some of the backgrounds are a little bit too repetitious in patterns, like here and this, and it flattens it out. So I'd either bring some like solid blacks in here and then fade it out to like an open area here, or just take some of these hatches out here and just open it up. And maybe if you did that, this little couch thing behind him would work a little bit better. So be careful about your patterns on top of patterns, and then these hatches too. This would be a major challenge to ink, because there's a lot of prioritizing with the hatching and the textures you have, because this could go bad real fast and real easy with an inexperienced inker. I would like to see this inked up, though. It would be pretty stellar. Also, you have his leg kind of coming in from here. The leg would be kind of coming more, like there would be still a little bit of a waist, even though he's chubby. And then the leg from there, and the knee would probably be in here somewhere. So I think a lot of the proportions, like your forearms and the legs, are a little stubby. Right here, the midsection stuff is fine, because it's foreshortened, but the arms wouldn't be as foreshortened in the leg. And yeah, this guy, this devil looking insect dude is pretty good. I like the face, but this hatching is really I'm sorry, but it's a hot mess. I would not even want to venture to try to make this work. And the only thing as far as the drawing I can think of is that if this is kind of the center point of the figure, and here's his collarbone, there's his shoulder, and here's his other shoulder. I think the neck is going in this a little bit too much in this direction. I think it would kind of be coming down a little bit more, and then this circle here would kind of go behind. So if you draw through it, like find where the neck would be, as a circle, it's somewhere in here. So I think your neck location is completely off. And so also think about your shoulder a little bit more, like you're looking down at it, and then bicep more like this, in this direction, than the elbow out here.
DJ says, "Hey Art, Harley Quinn you made looked great."
Oh, thanks. Did you see the one with the color on it? I just did that on a whim. I think that looked really cool, but thank you a lot. And then just to wrap it up, the ears a little tiny, but it's really good, John. It's a good start. And I think just look at anatomy, figures a lot more, and start pay attention to depth, and maybe, I don't know if you're inking yourself with real ink, but I think I would try to start inking my pencils and see how to prioritize some of the line weights and some of the hatching you have here, because you might find that what is working in the pencils here is not going to work when you start putting real ink to it. And if this is just supposed to be pencil work, I think there's more effective ways to do tones than the way you're doing it. I would actually just use real blacks, real midtones, and real open areas versus hatching. Hatching is primarily, in comics anyways, it's usually meant to be inked. So I would do it just a straight tone versus hatching it if you meant it as just a pencil piece. But very good, very good. Let's go Batman Flashpoint.
Con has a question.
Yes.
Hey Art, will this be a continuous series or a one-off? I'd love to send you stuff to view if you're willing. Thanks.
Well, Taylor just said this morning that we're running low on new submissions for the portfolio, so we may open it up after this portfolio review. So if you're not hooked up or linked up on my social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, do that. And probably the best way where we do a lot of announcements for things like this is on my Art by T-Bear site. We have a newsletter. So sign up for the newsletter, and usually we make announcements when we're taking submissions or when we're having sales, other fun stuff, and commission lists when they open up. So we usually announce things first, like the big information on that first. So that would probably be a good idea. So just go to my site, artbytbear.com, and sign up for the newsletter. And we'll see if we can get you in there. So, yeah.
Hey Art, you are a legend, mate. Will you be on the Adventures of Super Sons? I'm hoping to get some of your pages for my kid's wall.
Well, it's good that you asked. Go sign up for the newsletter, and while you're there, we're having a 10% off sale on Adventures of Super Sons pages and Super Sons pages right now, and I think it's till the end of the month here. So there's still a little bit of time, but the pages are going pretty fast, so the selection will dwindle down. So you should get on that now if you really want to get a good Adventures of Super Sons page at a 10% discount. And anybody, if you guys want me to sign those pages, in the description, when you PayPal me, ask me to do it there, because it's the best place. Because if you do it on my social media, sometimes there's a disconnect and I can't make the connection, so sometimes it doesn't happen. So yeah, make a note if you want me to sign some of the original pages.
People are asking for the link. We'll post the link in the description of this video once we're done with this live stream. So you'll have the link to all of our social media and the website.
Thanks, Taylor. This says Flashpoint. So the Flashpoint Batman, I didn't read it. He used guns? So this was like Thomas Wayne, right? Was that the Flashpoint Batman? Yeah. So I don't know. This is I don't know. I'm kind of perplexed. Batman with handguns. This is new for me. I don't know if I like it. This is really good. I don't see a name. So sorry. I see your signature, which is pretty darn cool. Let me zoom in on the signature.
JB.
2013 JB. You got to get me some new stuff. Get some new drawing in there. So I'll just call you JB for now. I would say overall, like, my first reaction is compositionally, it's not as strong as it could be. I think if you moved him up in the composition a little higher, I think it would be better. Maybe if you just made him bigger in the composition too, where he took up more space, because there's a lot of dead space here, and it's not really serving the piece. And even the cape is kind of, it's okay to have some open areas, but there's a lot of openness in this composition. So I'd say overall, the main thing that strikes me off the bat is the composition. Sarah?
Pixel says the cape is eating space too, and he also suggests that they crop the image.
Yeah, that's a good observation. So we're all here to learn off of each other. So there's no right, there's no wrong. I hope you guys always think this is fun, because I'm never out to like smash anybody. We all have our dreams, and if I can help a little bit in helping you guys achieve that, that's what this is all about, giving back to the community as well. So I think, I don't know, maybe drop the cape a little lower. I'm almost thinking that I don't want to see him hidden by the cape coming in front, because we have the arm coming forward. So I feel maybe the cape is fighting the forward movement. So maybe if the cape was behind his leg, it could still be sweeping around, but behind the leg a little bit more, and maybe pull it in so there's less of it. So kind of in like where this line wouldn't be there anymore. So it would kind of come like this, and then the leg would come forward, and then this would kind of diminish. I think if you guys kind of use your imagination, you could kind of see, and if it was, how can I do this? Let me see if I can do this. Hit the wrong button. Let me do this. Like maybe, well, maybe I can use this tool. So that's kind of like just a quick composition change. It looks more intense, and I think it's working a little bit better. So I think compositionally, and maybe doing some simple adjustments on the cape, just prioritizing this side going behind the leg so this arm comes forward. And then I'm not going to bust your hump too much on the anatomy. I think the chest and the abs stuff's working pretty good. I think the thighs are pretty thick. The muscles on the leg look pretty confused.
The audience feels like it would look a lot better in just black and white.
Yeah, maybe it's pretty close to black and white the way it is. There's pretty minimal color with some of the reds and greens, but maybe. I like the style. I think the face is really awesome. I like the pointed cape.
Control shift you real quick.
Control shift.
What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean? Let me do it. Control shift. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna take the bait. But I like the cape. I like the cape up here. Yeah, and just start looking at anatomy a little bit more. I think it will help. There's a lot of good books on stuff. I think just connecting things. The bicep should probably be in here more, and then the forearm. Kind of.
Con says, do the files we send you have to be scenes or regular pictures? Thanks again.
Well, the reason we're doing pinups is because we're kind of out of sequential stuff, but I'll critique anything as long as it's comic book related, because I'm not really, I feel a little bit like out of my wheelhouse to, get too much into paintings or illustration and things like that. Even though I do have a painting and illustration background, I think the comic book stuff is a little better and more fun, and I think that's what people want to see. So yeah, this forearm here is a little thick. I like the handwork. Bringing the knee in, and the thigh. But yeah, this is really good, JB. Keep up the good work, and I don't know, maybe next, if you submit again, maybe try some black and white artwork, because that's what people seem to want to see of yours. So, very good.
Title says maybe Amanda T. Bear can review some paintings.
Maybe we have a guest speaker. I'm hydrating myself right now, so I hope that's okay, because like I said, it's real hot. Um, I like this pose a lot. There's a lot of movement going on. I don't see a name, so I don't see a signature either. It's very good. It looks like you're looking, at least partially, at photographs, which is a good thing. I like the movement. Um, there's two things. Well, yeah, two things I see right off the bat. It's a good composition, which always helps. I think my stuff went back to grayscale for some reason. Yeah, I lost my color. I like my color. Um, this hand right here, it's pretty small, especially compared to this hand. So, like I said, right off the bat, that's what I see first and foremost. This foot coming forward is very cool, but this hand right here, I think, is the biggest offender I see overall. Not that I'm a sexist pig, but these breasts, they look pretty natural, the way they fit in there. It looks like you're definitely looking at photographs, which is good for natural looking stuff. I'm a real face-oriented person, and I have a theory in comics, and I think any commercial art, if if you can't really make aesthetically good, like looking people, I think you're going to have a harder time in the industry. And there's always exceptions to every rule, but the second offender is, I think it stands out right off the bat, is the nose. I think um, it looks a little big to me, long and maybe wide. So yeah, the hand and the nose, and then there's other aspects of the face, but I think this hatching on the chest isn't really serving the piece, because if you look at it as an overall, this looks like, even though this is skin, it looks like it's kind of part of her outfit. So it's done the same way, and the lights to darks look similar as the ones here. So I think I would either simplify them or try to do them in a different way, kind of how you did the cheek here.
Sherman wants to know, is that hatching or stippling? They can't tell from here.
Yeah, that's a good question. When you zoom in, it looks like hatching, but when it's pulled back, it looks like stippling. So it's kind of a low-res file. So I think it's hatching, but it's definitely taking on a stipple effect. And it might be, I don't know, like a Mori type of pattern that sometimes happens with hatching and things like that. It looks pretty labor intensive, but it might be a brush, it might be digital. There's a lot of control here with the outlines and stuff, if this isn't digital. So if this is hand inked, I think you might want to pursue inking as well as your penciling. Yeah, so I think, like, for me, if the eyes, let me try something. I'm getting adventuresome here on you guys.
James Dean says this feels a lot more like a tattoo art style than a comic book art style.
Good call. Good call. Let me see if I can do this. So if the eyes were maybe a little lower. I should have taken the eyelid too with the other one, but this is just quick, real hit and miss. And once again, you know, this is nothing against anybody. These are just suggestions. Take them, you know, for what they're worth. But for me, I think, oops, yeah, did I do that right? Yeah. And then,
Pixel wants to know specifically about the knee on this piece, if you'd add separation.
between the knee and the shoulder, yeah, I think I would try to delineate the two a little bit more. I think, was it Pixel Temp or
Yeah,
Taylor?
Pixel.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah, right in here, maybe add more light to it. I called Taylor by my wife's name. I don't know if you guys know, all this stuff is way out of my wheelhouse, so I'm doing the best I can. Talking and chewing gum, it's not my thing.
Sherman says he gets a Joe Jusko Marvel piece feel from this, style-wise.
Yeah. So you think maybe he was looking a little Joey on this? But yeah, back on the face, I think it looks weird now because the mask is all, you know, out of whack. But if the mask came back in here, I think you'd start seeing it better, the proportion of it. Possibly even simplify. Oops, wrong color.
Other people are saying it's more like a Lisner. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Linsner understands this stuff a lot better. Sometimes with women's faces, less is more. You know, you just simplify the nose. I think the nose structure, actually, I'd say the eyes still need to go down a lot further than they are. I think that nose was really, really long. But you can kind of start seeing, especially the nose, you can see it working a little better. And the mouth is there's a little too much movement going on with the mouth. I know people have mouth shapes like this, but if we're going like, you know, idealistic aesthetics, I would straighten out, you know, that lip a little bit. There's a little too much movement in it.
People are saying it's Pixel says it's a little caricature-ish in the face.
Yeah, but you know, I don't mind cartooning.
Almost seems bits and pieces were referenced from different photos.
Ooh,
That's a good call, I think.
that is a great call, and that's why maybe there's some disjointedness going. Man, I feel like a cosmetic surgeon here. And then, of course, I mean, you know, you'd want to bring up the chin now. Just remember, whenever you draw and you make a change, it's going to affect other things. So whenever you do even a simple, ooh, that's not going to work. A simple change, always keep in mind that it's too big too. That you're going to want to check and double check to see what's affected by the change that you just made. very, very seldom does it work that there isn't something else that's affected. So I would say, um, try to keep that in mind as a basic rule. So whenever you're drawing and you make one change, see how it affects something else in the composition or in the figure. Um, because almost always it does. So anyway, without doing any, like major work, that's what I would do. And I think whoever's call was that this might be tattoo art. I think that was a good call. And also, I don't want to be like a prude, but I know this stuff is kind of skin tight, but this would just be probably better if it wasn't just, well, now she looks like she's got something coming out. Um, but I would just move that out a little bit. There's no need for that. So yeah, I wish I knew your name because this is really, really good. I like the darks to light. I do like the texture, but it looks really labored. And if this is comics, you probably won't even see the amount of work that you did here. And somehow, I think I would not make this a solid black. I think I would have transitioned and made this go up a little higher. It kind of disrupts the shape. And maybe some of these highlights I would actually have them define a little bit more of the shape. And like I said before, I don't think this serves the purpose. So yeah, it's really good. It's a good black cat. Let's go on to the next. Wow. I think this is Photoshop color. Yeah. I'm not sure what the black specks are. She's got some black specks on her. I'm not sure if that was an accident or something there. Like, oops. Okay, a little overzealous there. Like these. Not sure what those are, but I don't like them. It's a good piece. I like the colors. I like the green. I think who uses this color scheme really well is Frank Cho.
Greg claims that they are moles.
Is this your work, Greg?
I don't think so. He was laughing.
Those are black moles, man. She should get those checked. She should stay out of the sun. It's not good. Well, I'm going to stand by my initial. I'm not sure if it's serving the piece. I like it. I like the colors. I like the way it's done.
And Pixel wants you to Photoshop her. I think like you did in the last.
Oh my gosh! You know what? If that's the high bar, I'm checking out now. That was very labor intensive, you guys. That was a lot of work. I think one of the major problems I see here is there's this weird tangent going on here. Like her jaw is just bleeding right into her hand. This right here, guys, that's a major no-no. So I think if the jaw went slightly behind the hand and then came up here, and this is as fancy as I'm going to get right now. I'm going to do a little color correct. So
Star Tiger says it's J. Scott Campbell anatomy plus an M. Turner head.
oh my gosh, let's not turn this into the heckle hour. But you're right. But you can already see, like, the jaw's probably set back a little too much from what I did. But you can see that now clearly. Let me get my red back. You can see that this is in front of the jawline. So one of the things, everything we do as an artist, it's an illusion, it's a flat plane. And the more we can fool the viewer that there's three-dimensionality, the better. So one of the things you really want to watch out for is tangents, because tangents will flatten things out. And also they'll distort the shape. They'll make the shape harder to read, which is what was going on here. And I'm going to do this because this is kind of bugging me. I don't know. I think maybe because it's black too. Maybe if they were lighter brown.
She's cured.
Yeah, I just gave her a molectomy. Yeah, I think start looking at anatomy books a little bit more than actual, like, other people's drawings. I think that'll help.
Sherman says you're a dermatologist now.
Plastic surgeon and a dermatologist. I think I would like to see this eye maybe a little bit lower and maybe over a little bit more. And that actually helped out a lot there. Get my green on. Move that forward a little bit. Yeah, actually that helped out a lot. And then another thing.
This artist is still learning, but this shows a lot of potential. Sorry, your message was long.
It's okay. Yeah.
This artist is still learning, but this shows a lot of potential and promise of future pro work.
I agree.
Might want to try to avoid the midsection pushing forward.
Yeah, I was gonna move my way down. I think also the midsection's a little long, but I think he is looking at. You guys are right. This is a little Turner and a little Campbell, and they both, for my taste, they elongate the torsos sometimes a little too much. But to be honest, there are all kinds of different proportions and different types of people. So there is that type of person. Yeah, look at that. That's, I think, moving the eyes a little closer together. And remember, like, the nose bridge stands out from the face. So this eye behind the nose bridge would kind of, here, let me find my black. And if you drew through the nose, it would kind of be kind of in there, because the plane of the eye is like here. And so then the nose bridge is coming out from that. So always think about, like, drawing through the object. It'll help you with drawing more three-dimensional with stuff. And then this is like a shorthand that I do with mouth, with these types of smiles. Bring the line in there, and then bring this up here. Excuse me, and it will help you find this other side. It might be up a little too high and over, but I'm trying to kind of work with what you have here. But the her side of her mouth right here is definitely too low. I probably have it up too high, but you guys can get the idea of where I'm going with this. So that's probably up too high as well. But you can kind of see how it's coming together there. So I think that's it for the face. Her hairline is perhaps a little too high. But once again, I mean, some people do have higher foreheads, but I think if we're looking at, you know, as aesthetically pleasing as we can get, I think a lower forehead, not too low, but just a lower forehead is better. And then, like you guys were saying, or like I was saying, the length here is it's a little too long. But sometimes when we're looking at other people's artwork, what their mistakes are can be charming. Um, Neil Adams says your mistakes are what defines you. But sometimes when you're copying somebody else's mistakes, you exaggerate it or you don't understand it even as well as they did. So the mistake can be more compound. It can be worse, or at the very least, it's just not as aesthetically pleasing as the guy that you were looking at. Sorry, I had to drink some more. It is hot here. So I'm not saying that this is like a swipe because I don't know, but I do know that sometimes um, things go that way. I think if you found like a better like rib cage location, um, you could bypass the length here because already if you move the rib cage up, you can see that this is really long. Let me go head size 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, even by your measurements, like the crotch should be there, and also keep in mind sometimes like that would be if she's standing straight up and down, but the hip is kind of bent, and women can do this, guys can't do this. Don't draw guys like this, please. They can throw their hips out, and when they throw their hips out, what happens is this crotch line will shorten. It'll get even shorter, and so um, it'll fool you because you go, oh well, there's supposed to be, 4 heads to the crotch, line or whatever, and then you'll look at somebody's drawing and you go, oh, that's like 3.5 heads, but then you have to take in consideration you're looking at a foreshortened hip, like the hip is turned and it's going in this direction. It's not straight up and down. So when it's curved that way, it's going to foreshorten in here. So be aware of that. So if you're going to try to draw like sexy girls, always be aware that that's the dimension. And like, I forget who said it, but they said she's kind of coming out too far. I think this one is okay, but this line right here comes in too far, I think. So I don't think, I'll zoom in. I don't think this line should be there. I think it should be over here more. So that's kind of it for this drawing. Usually I would go, oh, there's all this extra space in here, like the Batman one. But there's always exceptions, and I think that this, with the green and everything, she fits in real nicely here. This is a really nice drawing. It really is. The colors, there's a nice aesthetic to everything. So I believe, like somebody commented, you do have a chance. You could, work professionally. I just think that you need to, I think, start looking at real people. Like, too, I would bring the collarbone down. It's going a little too high. So I think start maybe look at comic books. I'm not a guy that says don't look at comic books, because I think you got to learn the vocabulary of comic books and how things are done and the language of a comic book. But I think at the same time, you would definitely benefit. I wish I had your name. There's a signature. I'll just blow it up just so if somebody knows this person, maybe they can help me out, or if he or she sees this piece. So there's your signature there. It's a little digitized, so it's still hard to read. But yeah, start looking at anatomy books. Start looking at real life. The amazing thing about the internet, guys, is there's no excuse. Go and if you're a guy, like, what the heck, you're looking at pretty girls. There's tons of photographs out there. There's tons of sites that have stuff. So start looking more at real life, and then maybe combining them with like some of the styles of your favorite comic book artists and stuff like that. I never say never, and I never say don't try on different people's styles. Like, I feel like my career wouldn't be what it is if I wasn't somewhat of a chameleon, if I didn't study styles and try different, comic book styles on. And I always think of this. I'm a musician at heart. I always think, the Beatles started playing, copy tunes and cover songs. So we all need to start somewhere.
Oh, Nasser just arrived.
Hey,
So
Nasser.
hello. And Title would like to know if you have any websites or anything you'd recommend looking at as far as anatomy and stuff.
For photos and stuff. I don't know. I think if you just had a specific idea in mind, like cute girls playing with puppies, and you type that in, I think there's a lot of different things that will show up, and it takes a little bit of time, but go through them. But sometimes you'll find it'll lead you to a photo site. And I can't. There's one that I use, but I can't think of the name right now. And if I do, I'll mention it in the next portfolio review. Is there a question?
Pixel just posted a link to an anatomy book that I guess is online.
Oh, as far as anatomy book, yeah, Andrew Loomis, even what's the Tarzan guy? Yeah, Bern Hogarth, and the mechanical guy.
Ooh.
Bridgman. Yeah, George Bridgman. Those three books are really good. I think Loomis and Bridgman are the best guys right now to look at, and I keep going back on those books and rereading them every once in a while, because I think as you start drawing and you draw more, I call them light bulb moments. You have different light bulb moments.
Oh, Nasser says, after you're done with your Indiegogo, I call dibs on collaborating with you.
That'll be fun. Yeah, send me your stuff, and we'll do something. I definitely, all you guys that are listening, I love Marvel and DC. I really like the mainstream. I like playing in the big pool there with those guys and those characters. But I have my hearts in indies as well. So I would really like to get some of these indie projects funded in the future. Like, we're going to do Black and White first, but I have some ideas. Taylor has ideas, and we'd really like to get into a place where we can start, maybe trying to do some more independent, create our own type projects in the future. But the only way we're ever going to be able to walk away from the big guys, or at least prioritize things where we can have more time to do the independent stuff, is with your support. So the way I look at it is like we're trying to make a movie, and we need, we're producers, and we're trying to get this thing funded so we can make these dreams and these books for you guys. So yeah, so any help you guys can give in the future, and even support now, suggest us to your friends, what is it? Ring the bell so you can get the notifications. What else can you think of, Taylor?
Like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. And sign up for the newsletter at artbytbear.com.
Yeah, so we're going to wrap this up right now. I need to chug a lug of this water because I'm getting a little dry here. And I hope it wasn't too noisy. We got the fans on in here. So, California's on fire right now. We're in a good place, though, so I don't want you guys to think that we're in dire straits, because we're not. But we're close enough, and so I hope everybody comes out of those fires okay. So anyway, so that's it. You guys have a nice weekend, and thanks for all the support.